Here we go again. Okay, this hat belonged to Vasily Fisk, who has disappeared. He was our metaphysical detective. And I was going to talk about toilet turd people. And when I was a toilet turd person, when I was 23 years old, I didn't have any work and I was living in Calgary, Alberta. And I saw an advertisement in the Calgary paper, whatever it was called. And it was, you know, come be a real estate person. And so it was the only ad that I kept seeing every time I looked at the paper. That should be a warning. If you keep seeing the same ad, it means stay away. But anyway, I went to investigate, and Nick Medwood was the realtor broker. And Nick gave me a test. It was a short test, 10 minutes. And then he looked at it. He said, oh, yeah, yeah, you definitely. I was saying, Nick said, oh, you passed the test. You're definitely the right kind of person I'm looking for to be a realtor. So then I had to go and take the realty course with the Calgary Board of Education. And then I came out and I was a realtor and I didn't know what to do because they don't teach you in, the real estate board course how to be a realtor. They don't. They teach you about the regulations of being a realtor, but they don't teach you how to be a realtor. It wasn't until much later that I learned how to be a realtor, and I wasn't a realtor at the time. I was working for Top Producer Systems in Richmond, British Columbia, and if you followed the Top Producer program, you could be a realtor because it was software to organize you as a realtor. But as far as I know, it didn't exist by back in 1988 when I was a realtor for real. So, you know, in those days, you were kind of told, well, the best thing you can do is get a phone book and just, start calling people, you know, cold calling, it was called. So I did some cold calling. And it wasn't very successful. I took a few names down, and because they said, well, we might be interested sometime. And, I put them in a paper calendar, and I don't know, every time I picked up the book, there was about four names in my calendar. So I would call them to see if anything had gone on since the last time I talked with them, and it hadn't. Now, 1988 was about the worst time you could ever be a realtor in Calgary, Alberta, because Calgary, Alberta was in the midst of a great depression because something had happened to the oil market, and the oil companies were all not doing too good. And real estate crashed in Calgary before I became a realtor. So, I mean, I went around and I saw some beautiful properties. There was one I did an open house on. It looked like South Fork Ranch from the old TV show Dallas. And it was about 114,000 for this thing. And my God, I mean, the thing probably worth, I don't know, 2.5 million today, I would say. But it was dirt cheap, but no one would buy because no one had any money because everyone had lost their shirt in the Great Depression of 1988. It was the time when Calgary held the Olympics. So if you watched the Olympics on TV, you'd have no idea that Calgary was in a depression, but it was. And needless to say, I didn't sell anything. I didn't buy anything. I guess I don't think it was even maybe 6 months. I was a realtor before I had no more money, and then I had to leave Calgary, and I got a temporary job at a paper mill until I got enough money together and accepted to go back to university. Looking back on it, I should never have gone back to university. In fact, I never should have gone to university in the first place. It did nothing for me. I think in retrospect, I would have been better to go and spend a year in Europe or Australia or something, just because I got no benefit from my university education. The paper mill job I did a number of years, and it paid really well. You know, the paper mill job doing general labor paid better than really anything I did afterwards. That's just the way it was. So, anyways, I was talking about being a realtor, and I wouldn't go back to being a realtor anyways, even in a good market. It's kind of crappy. And after doing tech support for the people at Top Producer and talking to realtors every day, all day long, well, I didn't want to be involved with those kind of people ever again. I'm having a hard time really putting it into words. I'll think about it and see if I can come up with some other memories of being a salesman, the salesman shit. I'm not Vasily Fisk, but I'm wearing his hat. This is Comedy Break, and I'm Jokey McFlokey.